We're going to be joined in a matter of moments by a guy who knows a thing or two about being a champion, a former UFC heavyweight champion to be exact. He was the youngest UFC heavyweight champion when he became champion way back when. He was 24 years young, 23 years ago, now 47, the War Master, the babyface assassin, the former king of Pancrase, Pride and Strikeforce heavyweight Grand Prix runner-up, career wins over the likes of Andrei Arlovsky, Frank Mir, Randy Couture, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, Mark Hunt, Dan Severn, Sammy Schilt, Jeff Munson, Sergey Kharitonov, Roy Nelson, and many more. Has competed, obviously, in the UFC, Pride, Strikeforce, Pancrase, Affliction, KSW, Dream, and has a great promotion right now called Bloodsport, and has his 14th Bloodsport event taking place right here in the tri-state area this Saturday, August 2nd, at the Williams Center in Rutherford, New Jersey. You can get tickets right now over at eventbrite.com. It's live on Triller TV. I love what they are doing with Bloodsport, and I can't wait to talk to him about it. And I always enjoy my conversations with the one and only Josh Barnett. So let us say hello to the man himself, who is kind enough to join us right here now in studio. Yeah, there he is. My guy, Josh.
Hey,
how are you, sir?
Excellent.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you just flew in today?
Yeah, no, today.
Are you tired?
Red eye. It'll catch up to me.
Okay, but now you're good.
Yeah.
Now you're just going off of piss and vinegar.
Well, and being 3 hours technically behind.
Behind, yes.
So
It's like 11 o'clock in the morning for you. No big
Basically,
deal. How's life? My audio guy says he always loves your shirts because he's a big music guy.
Yeah.
Did he make a comment to you, an awkward comment?
No, I think he's too intimidated.
Okay, what is this one?
Merciful Fate. It's King Diamond's. Well, it's not his original band. I think his original band was Bratz, but yeah.
Frank, do you know Merciful Fate?
Yeah, I do. That's awesome.
Okay, doesn't sound like he knows it. I think he's just kind of playing it off, to be honest.
Yeah, he just didn't want to seem like he wasn't in on it.
He's not all like down with the stuff. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
I just saw you on TV a couple weeks ago on NBC.
This is true.
That was crazy, man.
It was crazy, and a lot of people were, of course, they were very surprised. But it's also because if someone tells me something, and if I don't know if it's supposed to be public, I keep that shit.
Yeah. No, it was great. I thought they did such a great job with that.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Doug Dillinger, hit the door, seeing you there, Chuck Zito there, Gage Goldberg. Of course, I'm talking about the Bill Goldberg retirement match. Can I ask how this all came about? Like, you get a call from Bill when? How long was this in the works?
I think it was WWE. Someone from there reached out and said, "Hey, Bill requested for you to be here as part of his crew to walk him to the ring." And I'm like, yeah, all done. Just tell me the details. When do I need to be there, and what do I got to do?
Amazing.
And it's like I've said previously that Bill is basically like he's family. When he was living in California, I would stay at his place all the time. I mean, I used to kick the crap out of Gage pro wrestling with him as a little kid. Now it would be a bit tougher.
Yeah.
I've known him for probably going on about 20 years.
Really? How'd you first meet?
In Japan, when I was coaching and training Bob Sapp, we went to Bill's All Japan Pro Wrestling match against Kojima.
Wow.
And I met him there. And then we'd keep running into each other. I saw him at Strikeforce. I'd see him at this. I'd see him at that. If it was Affliction or whatever, wherever the fights were, if my parents were there, he'd always run into my parents first. Tell me how much fun he's having with my parents. And then I'm like, when am I actually going to run into you? Yeah. So, and another interesting Bill Goldberg, Josh Barnett tidbit. This is not something I've said out publicly yet or to this point, but I'll do it here.
Okay.
So when we did Bloodsport Bushido in Japan at the Yokokukan last year in July or June, I think it was July, I forget. Anyways, the main event was me versus Jon Moxley.
Yeah.
But in the creation of the event and the original main event was actually going to be me versus Bill Goldberg.
Wow.
And me and Bill had come to an agreement about it and everything, and we were trying to make it happen. But at the end of the day, it wasn't something we could put together. But we had agreed on pretty much all the necessary items. But, he's a very, very important man with a lot of obligations and contracts and all sorts of stuff. So unfortunately, we couldn't make that match happen.
Would you still like to make it happen? Or is that ship sailed?
I don't know. I mean, that anytime Bill decides that's something he wants to do, then I'm there. But, he's had an incredible career, very lengthy, very storied. And, I don't know. I guess it would just depend on him.
And that was your first time stepping into a WWE ring.
Yeah, funny enough.
That's
As much
crazy.
as I've been around the WWE throughout like the decades, to be honest, that's the first time I've ever actually walked into the ring.
Was that weird for you?
No, I suppose it was slightly surreal just because I've been around it for so long. Because I've had a lot of contacts and people and other athletes that I've worked with in WWE over the years. So that being the first time I ever stepped in the ring I was like, oh yeah, it was kind of weird, but
He was unhappy with the whole thing.
Well, that's Bill. He always grouses about everything.
Are you surprised he's unhappy? Because from afar, I was like, this is a pretty good tribute.
I'd have to be Bill to understand the totality of where that is coming from for him. And, I don't know all the story and everything behind it, but I'll say this. I thought it was, and I told him on the night, I thought the match was absolutely fantastic. Couldn't have had a better opponent than Gunther, who I have vouched for many a time, vouched to Bill for him. I've worked with him before in training, and he's just a fantastic wrestler, one of my favorites in the business at the moment. And I thought the defining thing was you had a crowd actually being sympathetic for Bill Goldberg as his knee is getting trashed and his legs are getting tore up. You got people chanting Goldberg, but not in the same way. They're chanting it because they're trying to rally him up.
Right.
And to see Goldberg getting sympathy from the crowd is something that's never happened. It's just not the way that guy and how his career has been built. So to see that at this point in his career and for that match, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought everything went incredibly well, and I thought it was a really great match.
I'm not surprised to hear you say that you like Gunther. Feels like he'd be your kind of guy. But why in particular?
Because he's the real deal. Like he can shoot, he can work. He really takes professional wrestling serious in like a legacy kind of way. And it's not just him going out there and, as they like to say these days, getting his shit in. He really is out there to be who he is in that ring, to bring that moment, to tell stories, and also to be a legitimate heel. Like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't happen without him because of his ability to actually take the mantle of the heel and do it full-throated, not worrying about his merch sales or whatever. He's doing what the job is needed. And he's a consummate professional, and he's believable. Okay,
so speaking of that, there's a big topic right now, this WWE Unreal doc series on Netflix.
Yes.
Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
Have you seen? It just came out Tuesday, so you probably haven't seen it yet, or maybe you have.
No, I have not seen it.
6 parts. It's about like all the behind the scenes. I mean, like literally they're in the room saying, who do you think should win the Rumble? That type of stuff. You like this sort of thing or don't like it?
I absolutely hate it.
Hate it?
I think it has
I love it, Josh.
No place
Why?
in the business. Because I understand where it comes from, and I understand the rationale behind it in this day and age. The way media is, the way it's constructed, the way the stories are told, and how we package everything from the beginning to the end, from the front facing to the behind the scenes, and we package everything, and everything is displayed to everyone all the time now. But I am 100% team kayfabe. I view it like nobody wants to go to an illusionist show to be told how the trick goes. They just want to see the trick. They want to be amazed. They want to try and sit there and argue with everybody about how it was done and contemplate, was that a real elephant or any of those sort of things, to get those questions going, whether they be negative, positive, or anywhere in between, because as long as the talking is happening, it's good. And by keeping people always wanting to know, it's good. If you exposed it all before the show happens, they'll enjoy it, perhaps, but not in the same way. And it's the same. It's a difference between the way I look at wrestling. If you just do a bunch of really cool spots and athletic moments, people will cheer for it, but it will not have the impact that the match that is all emotion and story driven will.
Okay,
It's
so
just not possible.
Can I offer a counter argument?
Go ahead.
Okay, so like the stuff that they're showing now is from 6 months ago, right?
Okay.
So it's not like this week we are seeing how they got to the SummerSlam
Right.
finish, right?
Yes.
So it's already old.
Sure.
We already know this is scripted.
My opinion is still leave that out. Don't make people think about wrestling as what writers came up with. Don't make people think about wrestling as people doing bumps and how many stars their matches are, or me and my opponent just doing a selfie right now after we just had this big blood feud blow off, and now it's like, oh, I'm glad I had such a great match with you. Like, stop telling everybody and rubbing it into everybody knows when you go to see the magician or the illusionist that, well, I mean, we can argue this, but it's not real, like, supernatural magic. But people still want to see it because they're interested about what is this? How did this happen? I know it's not really magic, I think. It's that. It's the same with wrestling. Don't smarten people up. Everybody should be a mark for something. That keeps it pure and sincere, and it drives like a real deep-seated feeling towards a thing. Exposing things, breaking everything down to its material granular self steals all the magic out of it. And now you got to do something different, and it won't be the same. And at the end of the day, it's probably why, similar to how so many people are historical these days, how if you watch boxing content now, there's no reference to boxers 50 years ago, 20 years ago. It's like nothing ever happened before yesterday. Whereas if you watch boxing in the 80s, you were constantly being inundated with who was who and where they came from and why this person was important for this guy to be here tonight, and so on and so on and so on. We have destroyed history. We have stolen the magic. We have made everything a fungible material item instead of a moment of just human action being displayed and you just being a participant or a viewer.
Okay, so one more pushback. I love Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
I know Adam Sandler isn't Happy Gilmore. I watched Adam Sandler do a bunch of interviews about Happy Gilmore. But when I sit down and watch Happy Gilmore, I'm suspending disbelief and I'm saying, this is all fun. This is make-believe. His own kids are in it, not playing his kids, but playing characters in the movie. Ultimately, what's the difference?
A movie is not a pro wrestling match. A pro wrestling match is a live event with people that need you to believe that this that's happening matters. A movie, you step up for that. It's like going to a play or even a musical or something like that. You know that this is just interchangeable elements as actors and actresses presenting a story that's already been created or may have been created, let's say, hundreds of years before they ever even did this version of it. With wrestling, it is two specific people that I guess we could call them characters, but they don't reference as characters. They don't. This isn't something that is traditionally. You don't reference this at all. You just let it be. Whereas with movies and television, it's just a completely different medium. And by the way, look at how awful TV and movies are these days. They are absolutely atrocious.
So is this killing the business in your opinion?
No, I don't think it'll kill the business.
Okay.
I think the business will be fine, but I just think that maybe in the long term, there will be negative repercussions from it. But the thing is that once you do stuff like this, or in time, maybe it can diminish. But if you keep pushing in certain directions, you start restructuring the way people view this. Like, look at the way people look at MMA these days versus the way they looked at it at UFC like 5. Or let's say something even further along, UFC 28, 30. But at some point, I remember the crowds being just absolutely furious about any grappling. And, different markets would change. But then I would sit back and go, well, look at all your promotional material. You show nothing of the importance of grappling, wrestling, and submissions. You only show knockouts. Your big best of shows are always knockouts. So basically, you're priming an audience for one thing, which happens a lot less than another.
Just curious, and you run your own promotion. We're going to get to this Saturday. Do you see any negative ramifications from this era? From, you talk about like get my stuff in, or kayfabe and all this stuff. Like, what makes your promotion so unique, Bloodsport, is because it feels old school, and because I feel like you really honor what pro wrestling maybe should be or is all about, and you respect it in that regard. But when you come in contact with talent, today's talent, do you see any sort of difference between today's talent and the talent from 10, 15 years ago?
Oh yeah, it's vastly different. There's a lot of reasons as to why that is too. But with Bloodsport, that through line about pure professional wrestling, so to speak, is there. And I'm also there to help everybody along and to help them get the most out of everything that they're doing in the ring, not just in my ring, but in every ring, be it a WWE ring or an AEW or NWA or New Japan. It doesn't really matter. When I built this show, I built it for wrestlers first. It's for the wrestlers to have a place to go out there and just wrestle to the best of their ability. Just strip everything else away, all the other stuff that they're going to have to do in other places or other things that may be expected of them, even if you're an indie wrestler, and just being like, no, let all that alone, forget all that. This is just about you, your opponent, and this moment. This isn't about making sure you get your special move in, or the match has to have you hit your finish. No, none of that. I don't need walkouts where you all come to the center of the ring and stand at hard cam. I don't want that. I mean, some natural things I'll see and I'll tell them afterwards, like, stop doing that. Like, we already know you're here. You looking at hard cam it just comes off it comes off as part of like a thing that is pre-scripted for you to do every time, instead of you're legitimately here to get into a fight.
Okay, so this is the 14th event, Bloodsport 14.
Yes.
This Saturday, August 2nd, Rutherford, New Jersey. There it is. There's the poster. You can watch it on Triller TV. You can get tickets right now over at eventbrite.com. Has this gone like ultimately when you first thought of Bloodsport? I feel like you have tremendous momentum. I texted you this as well. Like the product is so much fun and so different than everything else out there. Has this gone better than you ever expected?
I don't think I could say that. There have absolutely been some milestones. I would say doing Bloodsport Bushido in Japan was something that just made me have to sit back. I have a photo from the arena when it was just, the stuff was getting put up. I just sat there going like, I can't believe that I'm doing this right now. This is absolutely so utterly surreal. It feels like something I thought of sketching and writing out. I used to keep, I always keep a notepad on me when I travel. But I used to sit there and write on the road about shows I would try to put together and things to do and concepts and ideas. And to see like, oh man, this is like straight out of my old little notepad from 2003. This is crazy. 14 shows here in the U.S., a second international show coming up in London, September 28th. There are definitely some things that really stand out, and we've done so fantastic so far, but I feel like there'll be time to look back on that, and I respect and I appreciate everything we've done, but I have to think about how we can do it better, how we can improve, how we can streamline, how we can get more for less at times, and then how we can get more to make something bigger too. So I'm not like the kind of guy that's like, oh yeah, well, you know, what have you done for me lately? But I see where we started and where we're at, and I see many pathways to where we can and possibly might be going. So I got to focus on that.
The goal is how many shows a year? Like, what would you like?
I would love at least 4. That would be what I would love to do. 4 on like a quarterly schedule, with a singular, or one of those events being a one-night tournament.
Okay.
That is my...
How close are you from that?
I don't know.
Okay.
You know, we tried setting up the one-night tournament before COVID killed one. I forget what happened the other time. It's eluding me. And this is also based on us being an indie promotion. You can't guarantee your talent in the same way, with contracts and the money and so on and so forth. And you can put belts on people. I mean, they do it all the time, but I don't want to have to now be concerned about if I've got some sort of talent from wherever it could be, especially at this point with WWE and other places. If you put a belt on them, now you got to, okay, well, now I have to be concerned about what happens to my champ. What's happening with this belt? Instead, I would rather do something like those Rings Mega Battle tournaments, do a one-nighter, you win that belt, you win that cup, whatever, and then you move on. So every year there could be a different person who is in that tournament who may or may not win it. And therefore now I don't have to be concerned about a traveling belt and a champ and whatever. And while I would still like to think that if someone was to come out on top with our tournament as a champion, that a promotion wouldn't try to like totally bury and you know, crap all over what that is. I mean, that being said, if that's the case, I ain't going to forget it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to do you any favors, or it's not going to do you good or goodwill towards the business or me. But I want to do something that has a you had to be there kind of feel, and something that is not dependent on us having locked in talent per se, which, yeah.
So one of the great examples, I think, of what you are doing and what makes Bloodsport so special is Natty Neidhart. Like, she is so different in your world, and she seems to have this resurgence in her career, and the way she is presenting herself on your platform and this little indie run that she's on now is so vastly different than what she was doing in WWE, and it seems like she's so much more motivated and like I said, like this revival. What's it been like working with her? Because she seems to have bought in 1,000%.
Oh, it's easy as always. Like, Natty has been coming to train with me and working with me for, God, maybe almost 20 years. Maybe more, maybe 20 years or so. It's been a long time. And I got to know Natty through Harry, Davey Boy Smith Jr., who's been my student since he was 19 years old, 20 years old maybe. And Natty would come out here and there and train with us and work on things. And then when I was training and breaking Shayna in, then Natty would come out. I'd put them together and have them work it out. And it was just always somebody super eager and hungry to acquire more skills, more abilities to add to that toolbox. I mean, she's a legacy wrestler coming from a very, very important wrestling family. But I think the big thing about what Natty's doing right now is that she doesn't have to do any of this. She's made money hand over fist. She's a very popular person. She's accomplished a ton of things in the industry. I mean, she's already cemented her name as somebody of legacy. But that desire to go out and wrestle is still very strong inside her. And for her to want to choose Bloodsport specifically to really kind of kick this thing off like she did last time and following through with this, it just says that the wrestlers have the belief in this being a promotion for wrestlers, that they see this and they go, this is where I can truly let this expression deep within myself out, and I want to.
And so on this one, you also have Pete Dunne.
Yes, we do.
How does that work, by the way? Do you go to WWE and say, I would like this person, that person, or do they say these people are available? How does that work?
Honestly, it's a pretty easy process. I will give them lists of preferred talent and also say, who do you got and who do you want potentially to also be on the show? And sometimes, actually quite often, that list of preferred talent and who they want on the show overlaps. Other times they'll send me names and I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, let me see what I can do with this. And it's a really easy process where we have discussions about, booking and all this kind of stuff. And if everybody's on the same page, then boom, we go for it. If there's some aspect of it that doesn't work out, either for what I'm trying to do for the show or for them or whatever, then we just, okay, yeah, move on. We just move on and keep going. So it's really stress-free in that sense,
Is Shayna on this one?
No, she is not.
Okay.
Her 90 days is not up yet.
Okay, but she was able to compete for you while she was in WWE.
Yes.
So what would be the difference?
Well, I mean, I'm just letting her do her thing at the
Got
moment. And right now, for Shayna, whether or not she wants to do blood sports or anything like that, I mean, it's just an open door whenever. And right now, she's just working on other stuff. And, we'll get back to it.
What was your reaction when you found out they were parting ways?
It sucks. But
Were you surprised?
Surprised, yeah. But I also realize that there's a lot of information that I don't understand or that I don't have at my disposal. So a lot of things might seem, business as usual, but I don't necessarily always look at it that way. And there could be a lot going on behind the scenes that is stuff that I'm just not aware of, especially because it isn't a wrestling company in the same way that it used to be. It now has, these board members and all this kind of stuff from up above with TKO and Endeavor. And that's a completely different kind of animal. And those things may need different types of ironing out. They may have different ideas. It's hard to say. And, WWE might be thinking in very different terms of how maybe you and I might go about using and promoting the talent that they have. They might have different metrics now that they're looking at, and that could really come into a play.
Do you think she'll stick with pro wrestling? I know she was working a little bit as a producer, right, with NXT?
I mean, she will be around professional wrestling in one fashion or another, I expect. Whether she's going to stay in the ring, I mean, she's got a lot of mileage left to do that. Surprisingly, with the length of a career she's had as an MMA fighter and as a professional wrestler. But ultimately, you got to do what fills you up, what makes you feel satisfied and that you're doing something meaningful. So if that's the case, I know she's going to be right back in that ring.
I don't know if I've ever asked you this. Did you ever talk to WWE about competing for them?
No.
Was there ever a conversation?
No.
Not once, ever. Throughout all the years?
No.
Surprising? How come?
No, I just don't ever think that I was kind of a fit for that company. Now, who knows what someone like Paul or Nick or someone might think. I don't know. I've never broached that kind of a discussion with them.
Even in the old days?
In the old days, I definitely was like, well, yeah, there's no way. But, and I was really more concerned about fighting. So if I was to go and try and have a contract with WWE, and let's say they're like, boom, we love this, let's do that. That would mean everything in regards to fighting would be completely off the table. And I wasn't willing to do that. I wouldn't have been willing to do that.
Right.
And so I couldn't see how that could have been arranged. But, if I was with New Japan Pro Wrestling, though, no big deal. Working for Inoki for as many years as I did, yeah, not a problem. So a little different. That way I could accomplish both things that I wanted to do at the same time. And for me, it's all pro wrestling, whether I'm shooting or working, as they say, whether I'm in an MMA ring or a bare knuckle boxing cage or a pro wrestling ring. It doesn't matter. Like, it's all pro wrestling.
So to that point, you were so closely linked to MMA for so many years, but yet you have a pro wrestling promotion.
Yeah.
Not an MMA promotion. Did you ever consider MMA, running an MMA league and MMA promotion?
I have developed MMA projects and shows before. Some that we had moved down the line, and at the last minute, like, not enough investment, so didn't happen. I've built rule sets, judging criterias. I've refereed. I've judged. I've fought. I've done everything you can think of. So, like, whenever there's discussions about fighter pay and things like that, I am somebody who can come from both sides, who I've worked in the office side and as the fighter side. And, I know what it takes to put on events. I also know what it is to create these deals with fighters, and also where the different streams of revenue will be coming in and all of that. And it's, I try to lend my voice to those conversations as much as possible, but some things people have a hard time getting a grasp of. So, I'll still put it out there. That doesn't always mean they're going to understand it.
How do you feel about the MMA business right now?
I think it's pretty stale. But
there's something lacking, right?
It's not special like it used to be. There's too many events. There's too many just random fighters who it's not even like you could get mad at the UFC or PFL or whomever. Well, why didn't you promote this guy? It's like, oh, man, yeah, him and her and like, how many others? Like,
Right.
which is the one that's going to take off? I don't really know. So it's mostly the UFC that is mainly because of the biggest, but they've got the model of like the media rights and licensing model. And so now you need to be able to provide that media content for all these different platforms and things that you've got all these deals with. And it's a very complicated machine as far as I can tell. And in terms of business, I don't know that it's a bad way about going out over things per se, but in terms of how I look at things like fighting and the events and the stories and the athletes and the whole less monetary aspect of it and just like the mythos, like the aesthetics of it all. They don't necessarily. I think that's where it's suffering the most.
Do you think it could ever get back, or is that?
100%. It could get back, but you'd have to probably start off by beating up all the bean counters and the TV execs and all them. And
so that's why I don't know if it ever does come back.
It'll be because I was given the okay to kick down the door and start thrashing the ever-living crap out of people at, I don't know, at Endeavor and WME and CA. I don't know.
It's just such a big business now that
it's huge. It's so massive.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it hard to make these changes. Plus, any of those people with any of these C-suite or exec positions or what have you, if they were to make a decision that eventually would lead it down, let's say, a better product. If that decision loses shareholder money for a time being, they're probably out of a job. You know what I mean? So there isn't a lot of incentive unless things are already going bad to make any real changes. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast. So it's not always about what we could or should do. It's about, we have to make sure that we deliver shareholder profit. We have to make sure that we've already spread ourselves out with all these deals, so we got to fulfill them. And if there's a 3-year deal and a 5-year and the different overlaps of it, like more than likely it's going to be, just re-sign another deal for more money.
Right.
And if we can do that, that is the safest, best pathway. And what we've already been doing and what we've structured this company to do, like with a whole section of it that makes sure that happens. If you stop traveling down that pathway and pursuing that, if you decide you want to make a change, then there's probably a bunch of people that are going to have to get laid off. And that's difficult too.
For me, what's probably the most disappointing, and this is a byproduct of the UFC getting so big, there's just so little competition. There's so little like Pepsi to their Coke. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Here in America, there's just PFL. Overseas, there's some promotions doing some things, but
there's Ryzen, there's KSW,
Ryzen's actually
Octagon.
Yeah, but not like, it's very sort of regional, right? Octagon's regional, KSW's doing their thing. Ryzen, to me, has been one of the stories of the year. They just had like 47,000 people at their last event. Like this Japanese MMA resurgence, I didn't necessarily see it coming. Did you?
At the level of Ryzen, yes.
You did?
I could easily have seen this happening. However, it's how there used to be also Pancras doing 10,000 seat arenas, Shuto doing 5,000 seat arenas, Deep doing 5 to 10,000 seat arenas every now, but that is all gone.
Yeah.
That's still something that has a lot of knock-on effects to Japanese MMA. But it's even still, Pancras is still going on. Deep is still going on. There's other smaller promotions like Gladiator and Grachon and whatever, and guys are getting fights, which is great. But there used to be these promotions that were able to bring in much more foreign talent and have bigger shows, and it's just all either Ryzen and then everything else is like way below.
Okay.
And it's a very similar to like here in the States as well. And look, everything eventually consolidates anyways. Like everything becomes essentially a Pareto principle type deal, 20-80. 20% is producing 80%. And I would say that, I know everybody likes to talk about the Zuffa myth and, the company, the UFC doing its own propaganda, which every company does propaganda for itself. But I think one thing that gets overlooked is that MMA didn't actually, the settlement that was reached for the first class action suit only is possible because MMA is even big enough to pay out a settlement like that, to have a footprint that gets it the notoriety and the spotlight and the eyeballs and the interest from a judge and all these different things and lawyers to take it up. Because for most of MMA's career, nobody cared. Nobody cared. They thought it was cool. There wasn't the type of money in it that there is now by any means. And more than that, there was no cross-promotional anything. No one cared about you as a UFC fighter in the big scheme of things. You were invited to nothing. Your sponsors were all like porn shops. No, not Vivid Video or something. Like, not like a producer no, like some guy's porn store, or Condom Depot. Things of that nature. Probably, I'm surprised that, cigarettes wasn't involved, but which actually probably would have been too highbrow for UFC and MMA and NHB at its time. No one cared. It just was like, it was so low dollar, low buck. No one was getting in to be an agent. None of that existed. We had no cachet, no social cachet, no real fiscal cachet, and zero media penetration whatsoever. Nobody cared. The fact that we can now actually argue about the level of a settlement is only partially because of people working their ass off to go in front of the judges and to carry this case and to do it for as long as they did. But in the landscape of MMA, it's because there was no money. There was no interest. None of those, it just didn't exist. But now it does. So now the potential of how the Lee case turned out, and I know there's another case and different things. And
did you partake in that?
What do you mean partake?
Did you take the settlement money?
Of course.
Of course.
It was like
only one UFC fighter came out and said he did it. Moicano.
Well, for
Moicano.
For reading all of his Rothbard Mises, probably doesn't read Hoppe. By the way, maybe you'll grow out of libertarianism at some point, Moicano, and when you figure it out. But in any case, you clearly don't understand money. If you didn't take money that was already given to you and was already agreed upon, it's not like you're going to be a pariah because you accepted the money that, $375 million ain't nothing to the UFC anyways.
Did it come to you yet?
No, nobody has. I don't believe anybody's gotten it.
I've not heard that yet.
But it's the same thing when I had friends that were like, oh, I don't know about, taking any COVID money. It's like, it's already your money. They printed it. They already devalued your dollar by printing this money. Everything you own is now worth less. If you don't take that money, somebody else is going to. And you might as well, follow through. I mean, it's just your own cash. In this case, it's our own cash. And really, the thing is, I think a lot of this can be solved with opening and increasing incentivization models for fighters, especially. But I think the big thing is it's going to, talking about Pareto principles, 20% are going to be the top stars that make the money, win the belts. The 80%, probably no one's ever going to remember their name. And the issue that's going to really rub people the wrong way is the fact that this stuff around fighter pay really only applies to the draws and the champs. It doesn't apply to newcomer Bob, Shirley 5-5 record. No, if you're not pulling the money in, if you're not making the people have to watch you, you probably cost a promotion more than you make it. And I know people will come on here and they've argued with me like they have on about, well, because of the media rights. It's like, then that just means that guy's even less valuable because they could just rotate anybody in. The point is, when you are a draw, you need to be able to make the money off of that draw. And it's not money that any company has to pull out of somewhere and get a loan to give you. It's money that comes from the things that you pulled in. Mm-hmm. And I think that would go a long way towards making a lot of fighters happy. But at the end of the day, the way that this has been approached And a lot of the really just unintelligent and misunderstanding of the problem itself will leave people incredibly upset, even if it got sorted out straightly. Because, again, 2080, like there's going to be a whole bunch of people. Not everyone makes it to the NBA. You know what I mean? Like once they're there, then they're included in that gigantic multi-tier economy amongst all those teams and the overall greater economy of just the NBA itself. And then all the incentivizing elements behind it. But almost no one ever gets there. You know what I mean? Almost no one is going to be a draw. Almost no one is going to be a champion. That's the cruel fact of athletic endeavors. But if you can understand that if you didn't go into it for the money, but you went into it because you had to do it, because it was something that was driven, that has been driving deep inside you for you to make that step and to do that thing and to overcome whatever it is that was maybe getting in front of you from keeping you from doing it, then yeah, it was worthwhile. But if you think like, well, I need to do this and I need to get paid and I need to make money and I need to be rich, it's like, well, this is the wrong thing to do. Right. It just really is. And I'm not trying to say like because I've done something with it that I can sit back and be like, well, you already got yours. I'm a manager and a trainer. More people will have been on the end of never really making a real buck from it, and versus those that actually like a Victor Henry who have secured his second contract with the UFC over his tenure there, but also was signed to the UFC when it was the right time, because I didn't need him to sign there because I got him paid plenty fighting outside of that. But then you have to be as good as he is at least. And, I'm sure there's a bunch of people, I could beat him. Well, even if you could beat him, all the girls that were like, I could beat Gina Carano, none of you were ever more popular than her. And maybe you could argue Cyborg is now.
More popular?
Maybe.
No.
Yeah,
Gina's heyday.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, Cyborg whomped her. Never got what Gina had.
Right.
Not her fault, and nothing about, not me to say anything bad about Chris, which I thought, Shields, incredibly classless.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're a better boxer than her. She's a better fighter than you. She'd smash you every day. And I applaud the going into MMA. I think that was dope. I think she should be confident as her skills as a boxer. Great boxer, good fighter, and has crossed over into MMA. But whether or not you think someone's ugly doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? And falling back on like, I can beat her up. I'm a better boxer than her. It's like, way to move the goalposts.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you saw her on the street, she'd F you up.
Can I ask you about Tom Aspinall? What do you think of him?
He's fantastic. He's my favorite heavyweight.
Yeah, I would. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's dope. He's got a catch background. He's like a
feels like you're a type of guy, right?
Yeah, born into this, so to speak. Seems like a great guy, driven, well-rounded, fantastic.
Okay.
Big fan.
No notes, no issues.
No,
he's
I think he's fantastic. I think the only notes or issues would be him being hung up on this whole Jones thing. Sucked, and he didn't deserve that. But I hope he makes out.
Jones gets mad at me because I say I have two lists as far as the greatest of all time. I have the everything goes list, meaning if you pop for PEDs, all good. But there's the clean list. If you didn't pop, you're on this list. Jones can't be on that list.
I guess so. Yeah.
He doesn't like when I do that.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Jones is an incredible fighter and one of the best of all time.
There's a few infractions.
Yeah, I get it. If you want to get granular about it,
I mean,
sure.
It's not really granular. He tested positive.
I know that.
Multiple times.
I know that.
George St. Pierre didn't. Demetrius Johnson didn't. Khabib Nurmagomedov didn't.
True.
Anderson did.
Right.
That list.
Yes.
Fedor didn't.
I got you.
You know. So but if everything goes, Jones is number one.
I mean,
do you agree?
I don't know.
No, not on the list thing.
Oh,
who's number one?
I don't know.
Really? You don't have a take? Greatest of all time?
Nah, I'm not nothing to say at the moment. Yeah.
Really?
Nah.
I thought you would say like Fedor or something.
I think Fedor is arguably the best heavyweight of all time.
Heavyweight.
Yeah.
But fighter? You don't have a strong take.
Well, I'm also
might be the first time you've never had a strong take.
I'm also super biased because, like, in my opinion, Megumi Fuji is the greatest female MMA fighter of all time.
Still, you still believe that?
Oh, hell yeah. Because she did things that none of these other girls are doing. She fought up in weight. She's literally for a weight class that didn't exist at the time.
Yeah.
Fought abroad, fought people as heavy as 140 pounds, weighing soaking wet at maybe 118, 119.
This is why BJ Penn deserves more love in the greatest of all time discussion.
He definitely deserves a good nod, although you can see that he had streaks, but his consistency was
in his prime.
In his prime, he was good enough to go with anyone, and his gameness was unquestionable.
Yeah.
Unquestionable. And I think that that's what makes BJ such a noteworthy person across the history of MMA. I don't care if you want to get into like the discussion about records and this win and that win, it's okay, sure.
MMA is different in that regard.
But yeah, exactly. The things that he was doing and when he was doing it and how he went about it is what's more important. What's
ACWA?
The ACWA is the American Catch Wrestling Association, and it's been this project that me and Fergus McTaggart have been working on since 2014. It's in a revival of catch as catch can as a competitive sport. And my approach was to look at freestyle, folk style, collegiate, Greco, so basically international and national style wrestling here in the States and abroad, and take the best of those things and create a structured system from this already battle-tested and well-used set of rules and competition aspects. And that is because I was there when BJJ and all the submission stuff was starting to like make their come up. And look, an IBJJF tournament, maybe back in the day, maybe even 7 years ago, even 5 years ago, like people weren't getting they'd compete at like 2 p.m. and not get their medal until like 8 or 9. There was so much in the realm of the submission grappling, the BJJ stuff that was just so badly run, so sloppy, so. And even at times I'll see reffing at IBJJF events and I'm like, that's awful. This person shouldn't be anywhere near a mat. That's ridiculous. Or I'll see certain rules and certain submissions setups and I'll go, you didn't think this through. This is now just utterly gamed and you just sit there and watch it. Like, how stupid is that? So with wrestling, I took all the best elements that have been gamed over and ran over so many times, and then worked backwards from the whole point of why are we doing this match? To win by pin or submission. Well, how do you continue to incentivize that, and how do you keep moving the action towards that? What sort of discretion do you want to give the referees, and how should you guide them towards using it? And so I just ran all these different simulations and concepts and matches in my head, did them in the gym, have done them in events, have made small rule adjustments overall. We do, I'll bring all the referees and judges together after the event and talk to them about different calls, get all their input. And my thing was, I wanted this to run like being at a US Open, because with a USA Wrestling, US Open or something like that, every wrestler knows when their next match is going to happen, what number it is, what mat it's on, who's going to be against, and they'll know if they lose when that next match is going to be. If they win, this is so structured out, it's just foolproof. So I wanted to work from that and bring something in the submission aspect into that kind of environment, and that's what we've been doing. Plus,
you're making a promotion.
Yes, the American Catch Wrestling Association has been running submission wrestling tournaments in Southern California since 2014. We've had 2 national championships last year and the year before. We also bring a travel team over to England, and we have won 5 gold medals and 2 runner-ups.
Is there pay involved in this?
No.
Okay.
This is all amateur.
All amateur, okay.
Yeah, and that's another thing is that submission grappling got so skewed into this weird sort of professional concept. And while I do agree that we need professional grappling, and that does now exist with things like CJI and ADCC and all that, but it got way out of control with all these fight to wins and all this stuff, like blue belt with 2 stripes. I need to get paid, and you're like, you don't. You know, I mean, nobody gives a shit. If you can sell tickets, fine.
Right.
But like, you know, as far as like, where do you really sit on the totem pole as far as like a pro athlete? Like, you're not. You're a hobbyist, and that's cool. But it got really skewed to where the events that you paid to compete in because they were amateur started like completely disappearing, except for if it was like IBJJF or even Jiu-Jitsu World League, where it's like, oh yeah, spend $120 for maybe one match. And if you lose it, good luck. That's it, done. If you went into the wrong division, or you only had one. And for me, like, no, I want to develop this more like an Olympic style sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of Real American Freestyle Wrestling?
I think they should have a conversation with me about bringing catch into that as an option too. Well, I haven't reached out to them either.
Okay.
And obviously they just lose like their big guy, you know?
Do you think this can succeed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, we've done this.
Someone tried to do it with Real Pro Wrestling back in the day. Remember that?
Oh yes,
Daniel
yes I
Cormier,
do. Yeah,
Mo was involved.
Yeah, and they did real wrestling or professional amateur styled wrestling in India, and it was actually
really
fairly popular. Helen Maroulis was going over there. A lot of our top.
Would you want to compete?
I don't know about that.
Okay,
I'm a bit long in the tooth.
Okay,
but I absolutely want to develop this. I want to develop athletes, and I want it's. People think it's just wrestling, and it's no. I mean, you can't score a pin unless you're outside of, if you're in someone's guard, you can't score a pin. If you are caught in a submission, you cannot score a pin. And to get a pin, you have to pin their both shoulder blades for 3 seconds. Pretty much all submissions are legal except for a few. And the scoring is concise, tight, and doesn't really allow for like excessively high scored matches per se, but there's no lack of action. They're very fast paced, and we've had people from 10th Planet, BJJ guys, MMA fighters, all types, compete in this, and they've all done quite fantastic and had a great time.
Did you see Frank's daughter, Bellamere?
Oh yeah, I mean, but I remember the first time I met Frank's daughter, I was like, holy crap, this girl is a killer.
Did you see her submission?
Oh yeah, hammerlock with a choke.
She's incredible.
I need to teach her the crossface chicken wing. Maybe she can go out there and start hitting that bad boy on people.
So much fun. And she says she's going to try out for the Olympics. Hopefully, she's got a few years, but wouldn't that be something?
You know what? She's young enough.
Yeah.
I would say go for it.
Yeah.
I had a fighter I was working with at one point, and they were coming from a BJJ background, but I was teaching them catch along with Eric Hammer and Eric Paulson. We were working with them. And we noticed that they picked up the wrestling takedown aspect quite well and started picking these. So we started putting them in wrestling tournaments locally, and they started winning. And then I was just like, hey, do you have any eligibility left? Because I know you've been in school, but yeah, actually I do. It looks like I got 2 years. So then we went on a whole hunt, found Simon Fraser was willing to take a look at him.
In Canada?
And take a look at her, yeah. So we sent her up there. Wow. She won a tournament beating like a Canadian national champion high schooler and a returning All-American. And they're like, all right, come on. And, put that person in a high-level wrestling program. But the thought was, I go, well, the rest, the work and the coaching and the oversight that you're going to get in this program is going to be far better than practically any MMA program in the entire world. And this will only this will really go far towards building up all of your skills, making you just a better athlete, better conditioned, stronger, giving you a skill set that you already kind of lean towards as it is. It's just going to make you super tough. And, I still believe in that concept that if there's a chance to send a wrestler or send someone into like a high level wrestling program or something, like, do it. Like what they're going to get out of it is just going to be so fantastic. Anything that has any Olympic aspect to it, it has the potential, if you can get in through that door, which is a very, very hard door to get through, you have like the world is your oyster. The amount of stuff that's available to an Olympic athlete is insane.
By the way, you referenced Hulk Hogan passing.
Yes.
Complicated legacy, people have said. I've said it myself. Is it complicated? Is it not?
It's not that complicated. I think everything about the modern era is only going to become more and more and more complicated as privacy and everyone either willingly or unknowingly is basically just letting everything under the hood out all the time.
Yeah.
I think, it's, I don't know. I mean, the guy made some huge mistakes, did some very, awful things. And it was brought into the forefront, and, that's always going to be around him. At the same time, he also uplifted and did so much for so many people everywhere around the world that, I guess it's kind of becomes a choose your own adventure. How do you want to view this person at the end of the day? And, if someone brings up what's bad about them, you just got to own it and be like, yeah, that's right. And if they go, well, was there anything good about them? And then you got to go, well, then that has to be owned too. And as you look at it, he is just a man. And that may be actually the most disappointing thing at all, because we used to live in an era where people were more mythologized.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe for good or for bad, you could make an argument either way. But now a lot of people just end up becoming just a man. And, I guess we'll have to see what that means in the long run.
Okay, let's end on this. We could talk for hours. I love always picking your brain. This Saturday, why should people watch? If you're in the area, if you want to do something before SummerSlam,
yes,
why should you attend? What's going down? We talked about Natty. We talked about Pete Dunne. Give us the hard sell here. Give us the promoter. Put the promoter hat on,
We've got
Josh.
the War Raiders, both Eric and Ivar. They're going to be a part of this show as well. We've got Ray Jazz versus Matt Mikowski. We've got Janai Kai versus Jordan Blade. We've got Royce Isaacs. We've got Tim Thatcher.
And this isn't your typical wrestling event.
This is not.
No
if you
ropes.
want to see the hardest hitting action in all of professional wrestling, if you want to see where the heart, the grit, the determination, the stories, where they all come together in the most glorious violence, where only one person's hand is going to be raised at the end of the night, you come and you watch Bloodsport. This is a pure wrestling environment. This is something, we're not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. We're not trying to get you to buy any merch just show up and you watch what these wrestlers are going to put on in that ring, because you're not going to see it anywhere else.
What time?
Period. 1 p.m. at the Williams Center.
There it is.
And tonight, catch me at Story Wars with Louis J. Gomez, 7:30.
Where's that?
Hell if I know. Someplace in Gramercy. He didn't tell me the location yet.
Okay.
Typical comedian crap. But yeah, I'll be there apparently telling some stories, going to wars with Big J, Lewis, and whoever else is on the whole lineup tonight.
I love it. I love it.
And I have a seminar this Sunday at Immortals Jiu-Jitsu in Clifton, New Jersey. I'm teaching the Ultimate Keza seminar. So it's the head and arm ride, the same position I used to beat Lean Lister to become the Metamoris heavyweight champion. A position that we've seen people like Alexei Olenek use incredibly well. It's still used constantly within amateur wrestling and judo, and I'm here to give you this key to open this thing up and make it a part of your toolbox in submission wrestling, MMA, what have you.
I love it. Okay, so a busy few days for you here in the Northeast.
Sure enough.
All right, there he is, Josh Barnett, the babyface. Are we going with the babyface assassin or War Master?
I'm too old to be a babyface anything at this point. I guess
just like Faber is always the California kid. You're still the babyface.
You can call me babyface assassin if you like to. But
always great to have you in. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work with Bloodsport. It's a lot of fun to watch. That goes down this Saturday. Again, if you're in the area for SummerSlam, go before the event. If you're not, watch it on Triller TV. We'll take a quick break. We'll be in right here with Dr. Mike. Don't go anywhere. That's Josh Barnett. I'm Ariel. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.